No? Yes, there we are. We wanted to open our in-gathering today with a song by Herb Tyson, who is a longtime member of this church. And Herb and his family did a lot for this church. They're no longer with us in body, but their songs and the service and the Katie Tyson Fund live on. So some of you may know this, and please feel free to sing along on the choruses. Our doors are open and our hearts are too. Whoever you are, we've been expecting you. All are welcome here, so please come in. As we gather together, let our service begin. You don't need to leave your reason at the door. Please bring it with you, that's what minds are for. If you have questions, that's okay. We will search for the answers, let them lead where they may. Our doors are open and our hearts are too. Whoever you are, we've been expecting you. All are welcome here, so please come in. If you gather together, let our service begin. You don't need to leave your love at the door. Bring it with you, that's what hearts are for. Whomever you love and you hold dear, this is your home, you can find love here. Your hearts are open and our hearts are too. Whoever you are, we've been expecting you. All are welcome here, so please come in. As we gather together, let our service begin. You don't need to leave your beliefs at the door. Each of us has some, and there's room for more. No one's gonna tell you what you must believe. Our faith is in people, deeds, not creeds. Our doors are open and your hearts are too. Whoever you are, we've been expecting you. All are welcome here, so please come in. We gather together, let our service begin. You don't need to leave your conscience at the door. As a matter of fact, that's what church is for. To challenge us all to do what's right. And when we see darkness, to shine a little light. Our doors are open and our hearts are too. Whoever you are, we've been expecting you. All are welcome here, so please come in. As we gather together, let our service begin. As we gather together, let our service begin.
Good morning, and welcome to Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. My name is Becky Brandt, and I'm a member of this congregation. Our church is offering Sunday services both in person and virtually, so whether you're here in the chapel or joining us from home, know that you're welcome. We gather to recommit ourselves to the mission of this church, to support one another in our spiritual journeys, to work for justice, to care for the earth, and to build the common good. It is great to be together. This morning we welcome once again Ebony C. Peace to our pulpit. Ebony has been our minister in residence this summer, and she'll continue with us 3 Sundays a month through December. We're very glad she's here. Lastly, please continue to look to your emails, phones, and website for updates about worship and other church happenings. And if you're ever in need, your church staff is just an email or a phone call away. And happy In-Gathering Sunday to everyone. I invite you now to take a deep breath with me as we enter into this time of worship. flaming chalice remind us that none of us alone can save the world, but together, that's another possibility awaiting. Please rise in body or spirit and join in the singing of our opening hymn, number 1017 in the teen hymnal, We Are Building a New Way.
And it couldn't be a more beautiful day for in-gathering and our picnic and to see you all back for the fall. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Fill it love that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry. Ooh, that's a great morning.
Please remain standing and join in the reciting of our covenant. It's found in your order of service and within our hearts. Love is the teaching of this church. The quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve life in community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. This is our covenant with each and with all. You may be seated.
As you go, may your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of our precious lives, we hold you in our love as you go.
Might notice we are tweaking the order of service slightly yet again. We want to give each element of the service its due and to retain the spiritual sense of the moment. So now we come to the time of offering. Then Ebony will share a moment of meditation and prayer, and then people will be invited up to light candles. Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to share the plate with committed organizations that you, our members, have chosen. During the month of September, our offering is being shared with the Minister's Discretionary Fund. The Minister's Discretionary Fund is primarily for the minister to support members and friends of MVUC who may be experiencing financial difficulty. In the past, funds have been used to help pay a power bill, make a housing deposit, buy groceries, or buy clothing. The minister may help for registration for a special event or training for a member or friend. Sometimes a local direct service agency experiences a crisis with their own finances or with a client, and the minister can respond quickly with some financial support. We are a community that invites spiritual and material generosity from our members and friends. I give because I believe in the mission and vision of MVUC, and I hope to help sustain our church for years to come. I invite this gathered community to offer whatever you are most comfortable with in spirit and financial generosity for the mission of our church community. Will the ushers please come forward at this time?
Good morning. As we shift into meditation and prayer, may we hold in our hearts the family and friends of the 4 victims in the Appalachia High School shooting. 2 teachers and 2 14-year-old students were murdered by gun violence. Today and forever, I grieve the loss of life. I grieve for the people who died, for their families, their friends, co-workers. I grieve for those who were there and feel both lucky and guilty that they survived while others did not. Senseless, preventable. We have witnessed another national tragedy. Those of us here in the building physically and those online, wherever you are, I invite you to place your feet on the earth. You can close your eyes or lower your eyes. Join me in this silent meditation. As you are willing and able, I invite you to come up and light a candle as an expression of a special sorrow or joy. This is a ritual of support for each other and within our community. On the screen and on video at home, the hymn, My Prayer for You, on video, followed by the anthem, A Path to Each Other, by our choir.
Just a preamble. I would like to say it's good to be with you this morning. It just feels wonderful. It really does. I'm actually here today. Would you look at a path to each other in your order of service? I've included the words there. This is my continuing effort to choose songs of healing and communication and justice for our congregation for the fall. The words are there, and then it says congregational refrain, we can build a path. It's so simple, and we'll just repeat that like a chant a few times, and then we'll finish.
A couple weeks ago, I taught the final of 5 remote adult spiritual development workshops. Who's attended some of those, the 5 workshops? Some hands up, yes. The last one I taught was called The Call to Live into Our Calling, an intergenerational exploration of careers and meaning making. In that workshop, we explored what it means to open our divine given gifts and reflect on our life's work and career. Today's sermon is an extension of that conversation and the questions. And here's a question to start. What if the rest of our Unitarian Universalist sibling congregations got rid of all of the multiple justice-related committees in their congregations? What if? Why would we do that? What might it look like if we did? And how would getting rid of our justice committees help make anything better? Are these not the kind of committees where most of our faithful, holy work gets done? I'm a lifelong Unitarian Universalist. For my whole life, I've understood that what we want as a community of faith is liberation. We don't get to liberation without justice. We don't get to justice without love. For us to have liberation, we need to embody love. When we put love into action, it looks like honoring the inherent worth and dignity of every person. It looks like dismantling racism and other forms of oppression. It looks like settling for nothing less than justice, equity, and compassion. Love in practice is acceptance of one another, encouragement, truth-finding and truth-telling. It's democratic fairness and liberty. When we love, we hold sacred the interdependent web of all existence. So what does loving ourselves have to do with getting rid of our many committees? So let's explore this and what I mean by this. How can we best love ourselves from a perspective of relentlessly connecting ourselves with the divine? How can we fulfill our calling as a community, as a congregation? Once we've grounded ourselves in loving ourselves, then we peel back the layers and reflect on how we best love others, specifically within our congregation and the larger world community. So let's be clear that loving ourselves is taking care of ourselves. And I understand that one of the best ways we care for ourselves and love ourselves is to follow our calling, do what we've been put on this earth to do. In the context of the work that I do, I view our calling as the work of our life's purpose. For others, they might call it their authentic vocation, and some fulfill what they're called to do through paid employment, while others live into their calling without financial compensation. And this is true for many of our sibling congregations out there. At a congregational level, we too have a congregational calling. What is our congregation called to do? What is Mount Vernon Unitarian Church's purpose? Challenges come when we and other UU congregations try to be the wrong thing or too many things and not what we've been called to do. The entire world needs saving, but as a single congregation within a larger web, we are meant to make a big impact with a small focus. Instead, we often try to be and do more than our humble budget and modest size can manage. Caring for ourselves, loving ourselves, means answering our call. And I say answer Because indeed it calls to us. It sings. For some, we just feel it in our bones. For others, we've put on earmuffs because someone told us listening to that beautiful song is irresponsible, not realistic, ridiculous. Some taught us to fear that beautiful, holy tune. Some of us who feel our call in our bones ignore it because we're convinced that our feelings don't matter. Our calling is our unique purpose. When we follow our calling, the universe and its gratitude for us finally accepting our call gives us what we need to thrive. This includes clarity and financial abundance. Imagine what we could do with that income. Imagine the freedom and the self-determination we could lean into. Imagine the opportunities that could be brought to even Mount Vernon to deepen our spiritual growth. Imagine the social causes you could bless. When we follow our call as an individual or on a congregational level, we do work that's meaningful, fulfilling, and serves others. We make the contribution we've been put on this earth to make. Doing what we've been called to do, it isn't always clear-cut. We may confuse what our calling is with doing something great, but it's not always the same thing. Another point is that what we've been called to do at this specific moment may be different 6 months from now. To know the call of the moment means always listening, always feeling, always discerning. We all benefit when we each connect to our purpose, which connects us to the divine within us. The Gospel of Thomas, verse 70, reads as follows: "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." I understand this to mean that doing the work of our life's purpose is life-saving. It brings the deepest kind of joy. Not following our call causes us and our community to suffer. We see the suffering around us, people destroyed and exploited. They have no room in their lives to think about, much less follow their divine giving calling. My lived experience has shown me that when we don't follow our calling, we merely exist. We don't live. The Gospel of Thomas reminds us of this spiritual law. Whether we are an individual or a congregation, it's our duty to follow our calling, to love ourselves. Following our calling is the epitome of love. It's the way we say thank you and show our gratitude to the Spirit. Following our calling is the way we accept and embrace our interconnectedness, the way we show love. I believe in a type of heaven on earth where everyone has the freedom because their inherent worth and dignity is respected, where the earth is overrun with joy, inspiration, and love. We stop fighting each other, stop mistreating each other. We start loving each other. Abraham Maslow, he's the author of one of the world's best-known theories on motivation. You've probably heard this, but he's got this 5-tier model of human needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And at the bottom are physical needs. And then once these needs are met, we're motivated by safety needs, which include things such as personal security, employment, and health. Then we get to higher level needs such as love, belonging, and the feeling of being appreciated. And then at the very top is self-actualization. Self-actualization is the desire to reach our potential, live our dreams, and follow our passions. We will find that our calling fulfills these top 3 tiers because they include connection, freedom, self-esteem, and joy. What is unacceptable is how much of our population do not have their basic physical needs met. They are food insecure, unhoused, unemployed, and unable to get the health care they need. In our oppressive, capitalistic society, living into our calling has become a luxury. And our calling is not a specific job title, but a specific type of service that it can be expressed in a variety of positions or titles. There are dozens of ways we can live into our calling. We only have to open our minds and step into one of the many possibilities. Or do we? Is it so easy? It's not. When we follow our calling, we follow through with our purpose using gifts that we were born with. And these gifts are our strengths. The way our society is socialized, especially for our most vulnerable, it makes it difficult, if not impossible, for them to live into their calling. And many of us are walking around with divinely held gifts that we're too afraid to open. Consider that the biggest barrier to living into our calling for most is the world of work. And I do believe, I've had over 20 years of HR experience, I can tell you, I believe that most workers are being exploited. Maggie Levantovska, she's a scholar born in the Ukraine. She writes that she prefers using the term exploitation over burnout because, and I quote, "Burnout makes it about workers' feelings. Exploitation draws out attention to employer practices and policies which require structural solutions," end quote. Research studies from the Harvard Business Review revealed that millennials and workaholics forfeiting vacations at much higher rates than previous generations. I'm hearing that little, who's hearing that? You hearing that? I'm hearing it too. We got it? Testing, okay. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sure. Testing. All right, we're good. Awesome. So research studies from the Harvard Business Review, they revealed that millennials, and I'm a millennial, okay? So millennials and workaholics in general, right, forfeit vacations at a much higher rate than previous generations. And then a different survey drawn by Project Time Off, they found that millennials are more likely to make fun of colleagues who take vacation. These are the same millennials that we would love to have in our congregations. Yet they are overworked, and they seem to have little time for multiple church meetings or 3-year committee term commitments. They seemed trapped in the rat race. As a Black woman, my ancestors were exploited in body, mind, and spirit. The physical chains came off, but they were replaced by these invisible chains in their hearts and minds. And this caused some to remain on the plantations even when presented with opportunities to escape. Some enslaved people felt their abusers were doing them a favor by enslaving them. Some believed the risk of escaping was too high. They felt trapped. They were enslaved because of economic greed. Where is the line between an employer and an oppressor? How many workers feel grateful to have a job even when it doesn't provide for their basic needs? How many feel afraid and trapped at the mercy of their employers? And not all employers are terrible. There are outliers. There are a few. The Government Accountability Office, they undertook a study that revealed that approximately 70% of adult wage earners in federal aid programs such as Medicaid and food stamps, 70% of those worked full-time. And it found that many recipients were employed by large, profitable companies such as Walmart, McDonald's, Dollar Tree, Amazon. So in short, we taxpayers are subsidizing the livelihoods of many full-time workers because we allow companies to pay less than a living wage. The worker is being exploited. Taxpayers are being exploited. In our Unitarian Universalist culture, we focus on racial justice. Yet, for example, studies by the Liberal Economic Policy Institute and the Social Mobility Commission, both of those continue to find that social class as more likely to determine success outcomes than race or merit. These findings seem to suggest that money makes the world go round, not necessarily race. Consider that the root of oppression is economic superiority first, and everything else is secondary, a devastating symptom. With money comes the ability to control, which cycles back to enable the ability to generate more wealth. The root of slavery was about wealth. Reproductive rights are about wealth and control. Immigration is about wealth and control. Criminal justice and voting rights are about wealth and control. All this falls under the umbrella of economic justice. Through control and fear, many of us, or those we care about, are left with little more than the ability to live day by day. The system is designed to keep us from our calling because our calling is empowering. Our calling gives us courageous faith to journey through the fear. Our calling helps us get out of the rat race. We as individuals are in the rat race. We as congregations are in the rat race. This exhausting, competitive daily routine is filled with scarcity mindsets and financial struggles. We must deliberately exit out to follow our calling. Fighting for economic justice is a spiritual imperative. There is no expression of inherent worth and dignity when economic exploitation is present. And though it starts with economic injustice, it doesn't mean that race doesn't matter, because it does. And Black people have it particularly hard, and we know why. I learned recently that there's a whole book on the phenomenon called the Black Tax, The Cost of Being Black in America. It's by Sean D. Rochester. And in short, The Black tax reminds us of the financial cost of systemic racism, culture, and family obligations that make it difficult for Black people to generate wealth. In my own experience, my parents were the first in their generation to go to college, go to graduate school. All throughout my life, we had relatives who lived with us, who my parents were giving money to. It's hard to save and invest when you're always giving money to your family. So this cost is real, and I've seen it myself, I've lived it. And then in the workplace, many experience fear, intimidation, and mistreatment. And as a faith community, this should not be happening under our watch. And let's take a lesson from our siblings in faith, the Catholics. They believe it's a spiritual duty to end labor exploitation. For example, the Catholics have or had this impressive role that they called a labor priest. And the two most notable labor priests were John Ryan and Francis Haas. And they, as described in the Catholic University archives, they advocated for collective bargaining rights into the 1930s New Deal. And out of their convictions of just labor laws, they were at the heart of Catholic social teaching. And these labor priests, they had educational backgrounds in social science, moral theology, and ethics. They served as Department of Labor mediators, helping to settle over 500 labor strikes. And John Ryan, he also did extensive research into living wage issues, workers' rights, and employer-employee obligations. And these two are the epitome of community ministers, in my opinion. They really went out into the community to serve. And I imagine that these labor priests took note from the Bible, where it reminds us not to forsake our divine given gifts, that our holy gifts, which we use to follow our call, specifically Matthew 7:6 says, "Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again to rend you." I may not know exactly what your purpose is, each and every one of you, but I can tell you with certainty what it's not. Our purpose is not to suffer and be exploited. Our purpose is not to sit back and watch others experience unethical labor practices. Our purpose is not to give the best of our spirits to workplaces that forsake us. It is not to give our soul to those who do not deserve it. To do so is unholy. And I'm inspired by these labor priests. Focusing our efforts on economic justice can give us the most return when it comes to our spiritual energy and the efforts of our hearts. And I'm not an ordained minister yet, and I do have a ministry. In the tradition of labor priests, my background as a clinical sociologist, human resources consultant, career consultant, I spend much of my spiritual energy ministering to those seeking to live into their divine given calling. Much of my sociological practice has been in career consulting and organizational development, and I'm also a believer in systems theory. I've come to reflect on my own theoretical model and how we might be spiritually grounded within the holy work that we do. This model that I'm about to share, it's a practical template for how we might love ourselves by taking care of ourselves and love our congregations by taking care of our congregations, specifically toward efficiency, engagement, and community building as we take action to change the world. So let's circle back. So let's imagine we talked about doing away with all of the justice-related committees in our congregations. You know, why would we consider this? Where am I going with this? So, as a faith, Unitarian Universalism, I've observed that we try new things in outdated old structures and wonder why it seems so hard to make positive change. In our small, intimate, and heavily siloed committees, we serve ourselves and offer a few good tidings to the world. But yet, with silos removed, we could serve more deeply and be better stewards of our time, money, and energy, make a bigger impact. We believe we're all interconnected, but in practice, in our communities, in our congregations, we are disconnected. A committee here, a committee there. We become defined by the committees we are part of instead of the whole, instead of our faith. In the book, Justice on Earth, People of Faith Working at the Intersections of Race, Class, and Environment, Pamela Spar, she writes this. She says, "We often operate in narrow silos of particular interest, both within our congregations and in national organizations. Those who work on environmental or climate issues don't talk with those interested in racial justice or who work on affordable housing or mass incarceration. The group interested in economic justice issues its own corner, and the people who care about multiple issues get burned out trying to go to so many meetings." This siloed situation has to change if we are to preserve our sanity and health and maximize our effectiveness, end quote. And that book was published by the UUA's publishing house. Many of our scholars within our faith tradition, they agree that we must apply intersectionality. However, most stop short of providing a concrete model of what this looks like in practice. We are reminded of why we should do intersectionality without the how. So I invite you to explore practical solutions, and I'll share mine. This model. One Justice Committee. One. Let's call it the Justice Committee. This one committee would have multiple subcommittees, subcommittee teams. Each team would focus on an area that would have traditionally been its own committee, if not for this model. By collaborating as a web of subcommittees, we reduce the burden on leaders and members, get more volunteers and millennials. They meet together, one meeting, just one meeting, and then they caucus in their subcommittee teams during the meeting. They come back and report out. Everyone knows what everyone else is doing and why. Subcommittee team notes are accessible to everyone. And with this model, we shift committee justice work to spiritual practice. We respect time. We respect transparency. Information is accessible to all. We practice that interconnectedness isn't just about us as individuals with the wider world, but us within our congregation. How we structure our committees is an expression of our faith. Even the 8th principle calls us into accountability for our structures. And this structure, this model, it's about deepening adult faith engagement and the theological voice of its committee members, strengthening communication, removing inefficiencies to be more effective, and not so much ministering to each other with the express purpose of instead ministering to the world. The leaders of this one committee energize and facilitate, remind and teach us how to live into our justice work through a spiritual lens. That would be their role. And then the multiple branch chiefs of each subcommittee team would be there to lead as well. And there would be no committee term length requirements. Members can effortlessly flow from one subcommittee to another. And this structure also supports our revised values that we just voted on in June at our General Assembly, our Unitarian Universalist General Assembly. And this supports the way that we want to be in community with each other. It also addresses pain points, too many meetings, silos, and lackluster volunteer engagement. There's a pastor called Melissa Flora Blixer. She's a pastor of a Mennonite church. And she wrote this article. And in this article, she says, and I quote, "Capitalism is killing the small church." She says that she doesn't believe in the decline of the small church, that it's because there's not enough programs for young people, or that people are too busy, or that they don't care about religion, or that they're self-absorbed. She says that she thinks congregant members are just exhausted. And she says this, and I quote, "My parishioners scrounge for health care, drown in student debt, and create spreadsheets of daycare costs to see whether they can afford to have children. This economic system is not one from which my congregants can extract themselves. It is a force that controls their lives." The small church, and most UU congregations are small, cannot sustain multiple meetings, multiple committees, and less support. The system, our structures, must change for us to thrive into the future. In this model, which I call the Beloved Community Committee model, BCC for short, it's strong, it's sustainable, it's vibrant. It's like a vibrant tree with many branches. It grows fruit, which nourishes the children and youth. It provides shade to those who need it. For us to focus and have this liberation, I really think we need to embody love, and focusing on economic justice can help us reach the social justice that we seek as individuals and at the congregational level. So when we put love in action on an individual level is when we get out of this rat race and when we live into our calling. When we put love in action, we nourish beloved community and break down the silos in our congregations. And yes, our congregations and communities have callings. And this model, this idea, it gives a structure that flows with, not against, the current reality. It enables us to discover and live into our calling as congregations and communities. And it enables us to dismantle our oppressive structures that no longer serve us, even though we're comfortable with them. By opening our divine given gifts, we love ourselves. Once we love ourselves, we are better prepared to love our neighbor, our faith community, and the world. May it be so. May it be so. And now, our closing hymn, 145, As Tranquil Streams, by Marion Ham.
As tranquil streams that meet and merge and flow as one to seek the sea, our kindred
join in the words that we use to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
These words by Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman elected to United States Congress. I quote, "We don't make progress by standing on the sidelines whimpering and complaining. We make progress by implementing ideas," end quote. This is the day for the implementation of holy work and deepening of beloved community. Let us be faithful stewards of the work ahead. May the Spirit give you peace. May we practice love. Amen.
Today is a day that we're going to have peace and we're going to have a good time. Today is a good time. So I want everyone to gather out for our in-gathering outside. We have plenty of food for you, and with time for us to just socialize and have a good time. We've been through a rough period, and today we're just going to sit there and enjoy each other as a family. Yes. Everybody understand that? Let's enjoy.